Hey, it's Liv, and I am joined today by the one, the only Lzzy and Joe from Halestorm. You guys, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this tour and this lineup specifically because it is so unique. You have Lindsey Stirling and you have Apocalyptica, which I know in the past, Lzzy, you've collaborated with both.
Yeah, right.
So did that tour idea come from like, hey, I really like these guys?
It's amazing how you can become friends with people and work with people and then just never see each other for years because everyone's super busy. So we're just, lucky that everybody's schedules opened up. We're like, yeah, we're finally doing it.
Yeah,
so.
we've been wanting to do a show, or a tour with Lindsey forever, and Apocalyptica is like the perfect like glue between the worlds.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's a really trippy tour. I love it. It's so orchestral,
which is great.
We're just surrounded by real musicians, and we get up there like, it's great.
And it's so great how they can take, especially the strings, like seeing somebody shred on a cello.
Oh yeah,
that is next level.
Oh yeah,
it's so
absolutely.
Cool. And they're like the sweetest boys in the world. So you can't, we're having a good time.
Good. Super excited to see you guys. And I know you guys have had a month and a half at this point to sit on Everest and to perform it and to get comfortable with it. How's that going so far? How are you feeling about it?
It's been amazing. The response has been incredible, especially just from on stage every night. Just like I'm still like amazed at how many people are just like singing every word. It's really incredible.
On the new songs, and we wrote this record. One of the bigger ideas, one of the bigger sort of goals was to do kind of like a, how do you make a modern arena rock record that doesn't where you're not trying to like sound like Def Leppard or throw back to old school arena rock
days.
and like, but to me it's like breathing like space in the music and breaths where which is hard because you just want to fill it up and do stuff and like hit a chord and just let it ride, and so we were really thinking about space on the majority of these songs, and playing it live in these bigger rooms is awesome. It feels it's awesome, and there's like there's all this air. The new songs feel different, and it's cool.
It sounds great in the rooms. It's working out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the first things. And I have the alternative cover here of the album, and that was one thing that really stuck out to me is that this album in particular, I could almost already hear it live. Like I could feel that soul as being part of Everest.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I cannot wait to hear it tonight. And another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about too with this album in particular, with approaching it, comparing to, albums in the past, like how did you attack it differently? Where is Halestorm today, in comparison to the debut album, in comparison to Into the Wildlife?
Well, every album is a different animal. I don't think we're ever really the same people.
Sure.
Same goals and everything. But I think with this one, we wanted to shake things up. We wanted to go with a different producer. We wanted to do things differently. And we kind of threw away all of the rules that we were so incredibly used to using.
Yeah, it was fun working with Dave Cobb. We went down and, we did like 3 days with him at the studio down in Savannah just to test it out. And this was like 2 years ago, April, 2 years ago. And the first thing we did was write Darkness Always Wins. But he doesn't make demos and he doesn't care about any old ideas you've had. So
he's like, we're not working on any old ideas.
Spot.
Oh, wow.
So
that's cool.
Our goal of being uncomfortable was immediately successful.
Yes.
And we're like, oh God.
Yeah, we're unprepared.
And, but we, like Lzzy and I were talking, said like, we went in there with our shirts on our back and 20 some years of being a band and musicians. So, we know what we're doing. And it was kind of a confidence boost, making of the whole record, because we would just every day wake up and write a song and have it recorded and be done, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. It was so much fun that Lzzy and I bought a console for our house, and like, we're like, why would we ever make a demo?
Yeah, why are
again?
we making demos at home and like 6 different versions of different songs when we could just put it to tape?
Yeah,
so,
as we think of it, let's record it and have it be the record. So we'll see how that goes, but
yeah. And I love how you wanted this to be a challenge and to make it uncomfortable for yourselves, because after doing this for so long, being a band for so many years, you don't want to get tired, you don't want to get bored with it, and that challenges you to do more.
Yeah. When things get stagnant, that's an instant death, and and we need to that's what, when you put yourself in an uncomfortable position, that's when the magic happens. That's when you have to pull something out of somewhere, and by hell or high water, make it work, and so a lot of your, your instincts that maybe you didn't even know you had to kind of start showing through when you put yourself in those positions.
And it's so good for you, like mentally too, to have wins, that's something we talk about when we're writing and recording and stuff. And sometimes Lzzy and I will like put a song together and you're just like, all right, that, it's not quite up to par and you need a win, and so let's just scrap it and start something else and get a win. And then you make a moment, you're like,
there it is.
That's what we've been looking for.
There it is. Now, another thing I noticed for this album, there are some riffs in here that just stick out head and shoulders above anything that I've heard recently. Do those songs that have those riffs that really stand out, are there songs where it started with the riff and then you built the lyrics onto it, or vice versa? How does that work?
Yeah, we were kind of burning the candle from both ends. Like, Joe had his little cave in the studio. It's like, what did he think? Yeah, that's great. Let me take that. And, and then, on the opposite end, I'm just like, hey, I have this song. Help me make it cool. So, yeah. Yeah,
it was it was whatever gets the song done. It doesn't, if it's the riff that starts the ball rolling, then it's the riff. It's hard to write over. I think it's harder to write for me, it's easier to write a riff without any melody, but it's harder for me to write riffs over like a piano song. Now let's take that song you wrote on piano and make it rock. But also writing melodies and stuff over riffs is like brutal.
Yeah, because you take up all the space.
Yeah, brutal work.
No, it's interesting. You just have to put yourself there unconsciously, and some of it has to kind of fade in the background so that you can kind of find new spaces. But yeah, I don't know. It was complete chaos when we were in it, and so it's really wild to listen to it in its entirety and be like, wow, this is like really cohesive and it all kind of goes together. How did we pull that off?
It was like daily chaos, and by the end of the day, there'd be a song that was together, and you're like, oh, okay.
How'd that happen?
You could just tell everybody it was completely intentional.
Yeah.
We'd buy it. We're like, oh, the other. Yeah, they did that intentional.
We are geniuses. No.
Everest in particular, the song Everest, I feel like, and I'm curious which came first with that one, because the tone of that song, if I close my eyes, I feel like I'm climbing up a mountain on my hands and knees with you. Like there's a drive to the song that does feel like you are going through it. So what came first with that one?
That one was melody first, and I ended up writing that one on piano, and then we came in and was like, okay, we need to like level it up because
make this sound like a Halestorm song.
The lyrics were so heavy in that, just in there was a weightiness to that like you can't just keep this on a, so like we kept a little bit of the piano in there, but for the most part we just kind of
made it a rock song.
Yeah, we made it.
It was fun.
Yeah, it paid off. And then the last song, I always love going to the end of your albums because they always end with an exclamation point of some sort. In this one, How Will You Remember Me? Talk to me about that song in particular.
It's my funeral song. Not to be completely morbid, but why not? It's something that, I think that as humans we all think about, but maybe are afraid to talk about. But it's like what you're leaving behind if everything ended tomorrow. And, the fact that I have been in this band since I was 13 years old. The four of us haven't killed each other yet. We've, made it through the gauntlet of so many records and this industry as a whole, which is very different than the music, but the music industry, this all should have never worked out. So it's like, it's really crazy to think about the things that we've done and like I said, if it all ended tomorrow, like this is what it is. And I think that, it's important to not just live with blinders on, and every single day there's a point in time where I get to talk to people and I get to see people in our meet and greets and give them hugs, and there's like small gestures that end up, leaving a little something behind, maybe a little smile. So we're in the business of smiles. We always talk about,
I love that.
So it's like, but it's interesting on this album because there's an exclamation point, but there isn't really an answer. Like I think the answer kind of lies in
it lies within.
Well, it's the listener, it's like you can kind of, choose your own adventure at that point.
Yeah. There's a lady at meet and greet the other day with How Will You Remember Me? She's like, I thought that was, what was she? She had like totally like, not what Lzzy wrote it about, but it was for her and her like cat that had died, and like she's like, but it's a love song. Whatever she had in her head, I was like, that's great. That's what it should be.
It was a completely
whatever you
different
want
view.
it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a balance to that too. And I find that as a listener with music, it's like I love listening to an album and finding what I need out of it, but then I also want to know the artist story behind it. And I don't know, I think there's a space where both can live and appreciate it. And
yeah, that's the beauty of music. And what I think that especially with the songs that I end up writing with the lyrics, it's like there's multiple layers to going into a song, because you don't just have one feeling and be like, that's my feeling, I'm going with that. There's different aspects, and our own songs mean something different to me, like year after year. Like sometimes it's like you're writing songs for your future self, because like there are certain songs on like even the first or second record that I play now, and I'm like, oh, this means something completely different to me now. It has nothing to do with what I originally wrote it about. So it's
Yeah, absolutely. And I find too that sometimes I will hear an album and maybe it's not for me at that time, but then I might revisit it later and I'm like I get it now.
Yeah, that's what's cool about music. It's never too late, to get into something. And you can go, and now, these days you got Spotify and all that. You can go back as far as you want. And
absolutely.
Get into whatever.
Absolutely. Well, I brought this album in particularly because I love this. Again, this is the alternate version and even the main version. What's the story behind the album art here?
It was like on the main, especially the main record, and this one too. But there's a lot of like Easter eggs in there about the with all the songs, Shiver,
all the songs,
and the Woman,
some of the live show,
the live show. There's a little henge, like Tonehenge, and the Darkness, and Everest, the Climb, and we kind of like took a lot of the the titles and the lyrics and talked to these artists, and we're like, think epic artwork and harken back to the days of those metal records where you would buy records just based on the album cover.
Just based on what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the last thing we wanted to do is either have my face on a record or all four of us standing in front of something.
Yeah,
it's like,
you're tired of that?
Again.
Well, because, with album cycles in rock music, it's like they're like 2.5, 3 years. So it's like all of a sudden every sign, every piece of artwork is like my face. And I'm like, I can't stand that. After a little while, I'm like, guys, we got to do it differently this time.
Luckily you have a nice face, so it works out.
It's worked out thus
when you
far.
have to look at it in the mirror every day, and then you see it on the sign and the t-shirt.
We live on a bus with you. We see it every day.
I did want to go back to just talking about, your funeral song. You guys played the last Ozzy Osbourne show. So that, caused all of us in the rock world to really come face to face with the fact that it could all end tomorrow. I don't think anybody expected him to go as quickly as he did after that show. So when you think of your own careers and your own legacy, like, is that something you foresee for yourselves? Like, I'm going to go out on my terms kind of a thing, or just
who
bow out
knows?
early?
Yeah,
or?
I mean,
We're just trying to get through today.
If only we end up that lucky. I mean, I think as sad as we all are that we are without our Ozzy, he is someone who will live on forever, through his music and his legacy.
And honestly, like, what a way to go.
I know. Like
he raised hundreds of millions for charity.
Like the perfect storm.
Hung out with all his friends, got to do his favorite thing in the world, be on stage one last time, and he got to do it next to the stadium where he grew up, in his hometown, and Mama, he went home, and it was awesome. Like that was the most intense musical thing I've ever experienced. Just being out in that crowd, not playing it was awesome. That ruled.
Yeah.
That was fun, but like being out in the crowd and there's an emotional amplification when you're around 50,000 people all like there for the right reasons because we love you, Ozzy, and then he like goes into Mama, I'm Coming Home, and like everybody was crying, like
Just
the whole
tears.
place. But being around that many people on that wavelength, it was like everything amplified.
Yeah, it was just the collective
just like
subconscious.
tingles
yeah.
and I don't know. It was a wild experience, and I hope we get to feel something like that again. Music is so cool and so magical, and can really, you know, it can bring that many people together, and it's just it's music, it's magic, and it was so cool that Ozzy got to create that one last time. Like, loved it.
Yeah, that collective experience. I mean, even on, you know, smaller scales, even at Halestorm concerts. I mean, that's why people go to concerts. That is the magic of live music, because you get to belt out your favorite songs, not only with the artist, but with people that you don't know, thousands of people just singing the same words. There is something so magical and cathartic.
And that's to me, that's our job, especially these days, you know, where everything is so divisive, and, you know, like people are choosing hate more than unity these days. But you go to a rock show, and it doesn't matter who you're standing next to, everyone's rocking out together, and you get to like not think about that stuff for a second and go to the, you know, the peace love side, because everyone's got that in them. You got to choose it though.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we are all choosing that tonight. Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. So excited for you guys to come back and to hear the new songs again off Everest, the brand new album. And I just love this album. It is different, but it's still very Halestorm. And again, thank you guys so much for coming in. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Cut.
Cut.